Hey kids, Mr. Galvan again. Let's go on to the next chapter of Bandit's Moon. We're in chapter 4. Here we go. The poster on the tree. Well, once we mounted up, Joaquin had me ride beside him with my mother's cookbook open in my hands. Begin, he said. Well, here's a recipe for herring pie. What is herring? It's a fish. See this? This is an H. He leaned over and looked where I had my finger. An H. Yes. And this is an E. He took the book from me for a closer look. Then he said, is there a word here with a J? Of course, jelly has a J in it. Show me. I took back the book and found him a J. He studied the letter carefully. They tell me my name starts with a J. Yes, I have seen that shape on wanted posters. First, you must teach me to read and write my name. But your name doesn't have a J in it, I said, unless it's there in your last name. I am Joaquin Murrieta. There's no J in your last name either, I said. Are you certain? I'm positive. Well, that's a puzzle, Yankee. Flipping the pages back and forth from the W in crawfish to the K in kitchen and the N in lemon, I spelled out his first name. He learned fast. Within a few days, as we wound our way north through the mountains, he could write his name in the dirt. How much farther is it to Sacramento? I asked. A long way. Even though my brother had headed there, it would surprise me to bump into him on the streets. The gold diggings there were in the mountains somewhere, and that was where I expected Glank to be. I'd find him somehow. Poking along, we returned to the herring pie, and he was soon reading off whole words. Take white pickled herrings and boil them. Boil them, I said, sounding, I thought, like a bona fide school teacher. Three-Fingered Jack listened to all this with a sour face. He'd shift his great stomach and look us over with his bulging bullfrog eyes. Finally, he pulled up even with Joaquin. Why aren't you letting this gringo ride with us? He will learn our secrets, no? What secrets we have, old friend? Is there a sheriff anywhere in California who doesn't know we are bandits? But the gringo will know our plans. What plans? Well, you will think of one. My only plan is to stay alive, Bandito, and to make life unpleasant for the Yankees. I wish they'd stop talking about Yankees and gringos as if I didn't exist. It wasn't my fault they'd lost the war. I wasn't even sure what all the fighting was about. Three-Fingered Jack gave me another bulging glance and then turned back to Joaquin. Chief, he said, the trouble with you is you trust everyone. Joaquin gave out a soft laugh. And the trouble with you is you trust no one, not even yourself. I was beginning to feel distinctly uneasy. It was true I was learning secrets. I knew they had a hideout. I wish Pio Pio hadn't let that slip. I wanted to know nothing. I felt suddenly fearful about how much I got myself into. If I learned too much, Joaquin would never let me go alive. Joaquin turned to me. My three-fingered friend worries me like an old man, he said with a playful little laugh. Do you know how we lost the finger, Yankee? I tell you, biting his nail, see? By the time he realized it, he had chewed his finger down to the knuckle. Is that not true, Garcia? The big outlaw, whose real name I now learned was Garcia, snorted and turned his horse, and rode ahead. I had a feeling that he only allowed Joaquin to tease him. As we approached the main road north, we began traveling almost entirely at night. When the sheriffs and deputies are home, sound asleep, Joaquin told me with a wink. Days would remain hidden among the trees. It surprised me that no one saw through my disguise and realized that I was a girl. Maybe it was because I had got as dusty and dirty as everyone else. It was just past dawn when we came upon a wanted poster nailed to the trunk of a gnarly oak tree crawling with red ants. Joaquin sat on his horse. with one leg crossed over the saddle horn and tried to read the words. "See how famous I am," he said, glowing with pride. The poster looked fresh. It showed a woodcut picture of a wild-eyed bandit with a flaring nose and a ragged black beard. It hardly looked like Joaquin at all, except for the scarf around his long hair. "The picture is an insult," said Joaquin. "Am I not uglier than that?" He laughed, and everyone laughed, for he had bold and handsome features. Three-Fingered Jack came up closer and gave the poster a squint. "Maybe it's supposed to be me, no?" he said. "You flatter yourself, amigo. Who would pay gold for the head of a three-fingered Jack? Remind me to have a picture made of Joaquin himself for the sheriff. It would be a shame if they strung up the wrong man." "See, send a picture with the flower between your teeth to charm the ladies," said Three-Fingered Jack. "Why not?" said the outlaw. Then he shifted his attention to the words, but was unable to find his name. "Where is it, Yankee?" he asked, motioning me forward. "Where does it say Joaquin?" "It doesn't," I said. "The poster says there's a reward for a bandit called Joaquin." I did my best to pronounce the strange name. "But that's me," he laughed. "See, didn't I tell you to put a J in my name? I knew it was there." I stared at the poster again. Tarnation. Was it possible that somehow I had taught him to spell his name wrong? As I gazed at the lettering, I wonder if the J might sound kind of windy in Spanish. Joaquin, would that sound like Joaquin? Well, that must be it. We'd have to start all over again. Joaquin tossed me a glance. "So what does it say exactly, Yankee? There are too many big words." I wiped the dust off my lips and read aloud. $1,000 reward for the head of Joaquin, dead or alive. "Ay, Dios mío!" exclaimed Three-Fingered Jack. "So little?" exclaimed Joaquin, with an air of insult. Then he said, "We will rest here." Around the tree, the wanted poster hanging like a parlor picture, the outlaws dismounted and made camp. After a breakfast of coffee and canned oysters, Joaquin fished a piece of charcoal out of the fire and let it cool. Finally, he stood up and called for silence. With a show of bravado, he struck out the $1,000 reward figure on the poster. Then he told me to hold his hand and guide the charcoal as he told me what to write. When the job was finished, the poster read, "I will give $10,000. Joaquin." That's the end of chapter 4.